listening to Europe's #1 pro wrestling podcast.
No substitutes.
Bringing you the best in pro wrestling interviews, news, and opinions with Mr. Stevie Knight.
K-N-I-G-H-T, Knight. That's me, Steve Knight. Welcome once again to Seconds Away. It's Nighttime Wrestling Podcast. Doing well. Loads of exciting news to tell you today as well. Great guest as well to talk to today. Andy Boy Simmonz. The boy does not come from Danny Boy Collins, it comes from Davey Boy Smith. A huge Davey Boy Smith fan is Andy Simmonz. He's also been about the British scene for the last 15 years. He's done some stuff with WWE as well, including one great big angle on Raw a few years ago, which was great fun. I remember watching it and thinking he did a really good job. We really go into detail of what exactly happened there. So Andy Simmonz talking about his time in the UK from the FWA, IPW-UK, WWE, and loads of great stories, including a very funny one involving Jake Roberts, Alex Shane, and some money. So keep listening for that one with the man, Andy Boy Simmonz. Mark Haskins coming on next week as well, so that'll be really good. Apparently Mark Haskins in his other job outside of wrestling is a personal trainer, so I'm going to be grabbing some information from him about how to lose some weight, because that's my next thing, starting Monday. Because I don't want to look too fat for when I head back to the UK, because I am heading back to the UK, and in a semi-wrestling capacity. No, I will not be wearing the vaunted blue and yellow lycra. I don't think anyone wants to see that these days, barring a miracle of some kind, like some TRT or something along those lines, but that's not going to happen. I'm going to use what I'm good at now, which is this, my voice. Which is probably, some would say, that's all I was ever good at anyway, shouting. But very exciting. A friend of mine, Nick Aldis, better known as Magnus, former TNA World Champion, IWGP Champion, etc., etc. He's got 3 shows in association, of course, with Jeff Jarrett and the other guys and gals at Global Force Wrestling. He said, would you be interested in popping over and doing some live podcasts? Also getting backstage, obviously, talking to the guys and doing a few other bits and bobs. I said, yeah, of course, great. So I'm going to be flying back from Cyprus and coming over for the Global Force Wrestling show. So please get yourself to these shows. The 2nd of March, they're going to be at Exeter in England. The 3rd of March, they're going to be in London. And on the 4th, in Coventry. So if you want tickets for that, it is globalforcewrestling.com. That is globalforcewrestling.com. I will see you there. Maybe you can say a few words for the podcast as well. I'll be on the stage talking to a few of the wrestlers. I think it's going to be great fun. We'll do some competitions and things. I think it's going to be wicked. So that is Global Force Wrestling. Exeter on the 2nd of March. 3rd of March there in London, England. And on the 4th, Coventry. So really looking forward to that, seeing a few of the guys I've not seen for a few years. Steve Linsky, I'm going to drive up and stay with him and his 5,000 children. That should be great fun. See Doug Williams and meet some of the new guys as well who I've not seen. So it's going to be absolutely fabulous. Pop along, please, and say hello if you see me. You will recognise me because I'm, as I say, very overweight at the moment. 16.5 stone. Yeah, I know, 16.5. That's fat. There's no muscle, believe you me. I'm also doing a bit of work with Hooked On Events, and they do fantastic official parties for WWE. These are in conjunction with WWE Network, so you can't get anything more official than that. They do these brilliant parties, and the first one, if you manage to listen to this before the Rumble, which will be happening tomorrow night, are on Sunday, January 24th, of course. Parties taking place at 8 p.m. in Brighton at the Walkabout, London at the Walkabout Temple, and Leeds and Manchester, both at Shooter Sports Bars. Parties, like I say, 8 o'clock, include special wrestling pub quizzes, fancy dress costume contests, classic Royal Rumble matches before the show, and then of course the Rumble itself, which is going out live in association with the WWE Network at 1 a.m. All very official. I know the guy that runs this, and I'm absolutely chuffed for him. He thinks now he's officially working for WWE, which he actually is. So well done, Paul. So today's guest will crack on. Andy Simmonz, I've known him for about, 13, 14 years now. Really nice guy. Did have a big head, was a bit up himself when he was in FWA and he was quite popular. But I'm only joking, Andy. Well, yeah, you was a little tiny bit, clearly. Yeah, but then didn't we all? I was also, I know you won't believe this now because people tell me that I'm, a relatively liked guy. I was an absolute twat when I first started wrestling. An absolute twat. and I think you do. I think when you first start, you start getting a bit bigger maybe if you've hit the gym, you get on the sunbed, you get a tan, you get on TV, even if it's on the worst channel of all time, or even if you're just doing live events, you think you're something, you really do. So your ordinary life becomes, hang on a minute, I'm a famous wrestler. Really you're not, you're just a wrestler. And it's maybe for some people not even a full-time wrestler, just a bit of a part-time wrestler. So if you are a part-time wrestler that does a few local shows, don't go around thinking you're all that, because there's still a long way to go. Having said that, we've all done it. Anyway, I digress. This is a wonderful chat. I really enjoyed talking to Andy. I've not spoken to him for quite a while. We have arranged to meet up when I pop back to England a little bit later on. And I think we will definitely do that. We will have a drink together. Before I do play that, please don't forget to do those really important things. Rate, review and subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, wherever you get your podcasts from. The most important of those is to subscribe. It'll mean that you automatically get the podcast. As soon as I upload it, it will appear on your phone, your iPhone, your Android phone, whatever it may be, it will appear. So please do subscribe. If you've got the time, please click the rate button, and please only 5 stars. Come on, it's pretty good, isn't it? It's doing well. Having said that, I am always open to criticism. So if you want to get in touch with me, pop onto Facebook, have a look for Second Away, It's Night Time. Also on Twitter, I'm on there at Night Podcast. Enjoy this with Andy Simmonz. We'll go official, but we'll just carry on as we are. So Andy Simmonz, legendary British wrestler, would you say?
Well, maybe to myself and my mum, but yeah, thank you.
No, I tell you what, at one point you was the most over guy on the roster.
Yeah, thank you.
You was.
Yeah,
that seems many moons ago now,
yeah,
doesn't it? When did we meet? Would have been FWA, wouldn't
yeah,
it?
we probably met in 2003, I think, or 2004.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah, it was.
Must have been. Well, yeah, I came back in 2003, so it probably would have been then.
Yeah.
And that's when you were. How long had you been working for then?
About 2 years. I started in 2001. I had my first match, literally to the day, 15 years ago. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And I think I'm
it's
still young.
so weird. It's so weird because I still think of you guys as young.
Yeah.
Not
I
anymore.
am.
You are 31. You're not young anymore, mate. You're getting old now.
That's it, I know, yeah.
Listen, I remember being 31 like it was yesterday.
Oh, you do, yeah.
Back in our day, do you remember when we were back there with Big Daddy?
Oh, yeah, I missed all those, sadly. I came in a bit late for those. I was there in the days of Gary Hayward and Paul Travell.
Oh my God, Paul Travell, where is he?
Oh, he actually doesn't live far from me, actually. I live...
Oh, is he not?
Yeah, I don't see him, unfortunately, because I did like Paul, but... Yeah, he doesn't.
He was a nice guy, but I think it killed him getting burnt, didn't it?
I think it killed a lot of things in getting burnt that day. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, killed York Hall for FWA. I remember that.
Did, yeah. God, yeah, all for a bit of fire. Mm-hmm. Amazing. I remember that. I was there for that. I was a bit mad that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was back in the day. We're talking well back now. FWA, which we'll talk about because FWA is where I met you. But just before FWA then, and now you trained with Mark Sloan, did you?
I trained with Mark. Yeah. Yeah.
See, this is of great interest to me because he's a strange chap, but I like him, and I also think he's the most. If I had £2 million and I was going to go back to England and set up a promotion, the first person I would call would be Mark Sloan.
Okay.
Because he's like, to me, the most organised person, and someone told me he's like floating around a millionaire now or something.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, he does do well, and fair play to him because. He started FWA from scratch, didn't he? Probably didn't make a penny out of it, and now he's gone down like a retail route, and he's doing really well, as far as I can tell, anyway. So
I saw him 3 years ago. It was quite random, to be honest with you. I'd popped to Nottingham to see Spud at the TNA show, and I was literally walking up to the place to meet D'Lo outside, and someone tapped on a window, and there he was, sat in a car. And his little, what would you call them? Because I guess you were one of these at one point. His little...
Sloan clones, we called them.
Sloan clones, yeah. His little Sloan clones are out flyering and things, so I saw him then. But I like the geezer, honestly. I like the geezer. We had some good fun together on FWA. So, hey, listen, if someone can make $1 million, maybe he's not $1 million, but I know that for a fact that he had a Porsche for a while, so he's definitely doing well for himself.
Yeah, I know for a fact he asked to park his Ferrari in my garage. As well.
No, he's got a Ferrari.
I don't know if he went to, I probably might not, shouldn't mention it, but he did say to me, he said, I'm thinking about buying this car. Can I put it in your garage for a few weeks? And I said, absolutely not. I said, I'm not having that car in my garage. So,
Well, hey, good for him. Good for. I always said that the wrestlers take the bumps and the other people that do the tapes and the DVDs and the posters and the pictures make the money.
Yeah, it's true. Very true.
And it's a sad state of affairs, but it is true. So yeah, good for him. So how was the training with Mark Sloan?
And only not because it was crap, just because I can't remember. So I remember turning up for the first day. Me and my friend Dave arrived, and Mark wasn't. I don't want to say he wasn't overly welcome because he wasn't. Mark's a bit of a funny person to kind of get to know.
Absolutely.
So he kind of looked at me, and this was after me going back and forth emails, like a very keen teenager. I'd literally just left school, and I decided I wasn't going to go to college. I wasn't going to pursue any education. I had to convince my mum. I was like, no, I'm going to be a wrestler, Mum. And she's like, well, what does that mean? So I'm like, well, I'll just go WWF. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't even like 9. Do you know what I mean? I was like bordering an adult. So anyway, that was the plan. So I emailed Mark numerous times, and I sort of arrived at his wrestling school. And literally, the first thing he said to me was, "What do you want?" And I'm like, "Well, I wanted to say, what do you think I want?" But I've located your wrestling school, so it was. I'm sure it must have been good training. I remember after a while, I think we all got a little bit fed up because he would always have his sort of buddies around, like people like Gary Hayward and Paul Travell and Scotty Rock and loads of guys people probably wouldn't be too familiar with. But in the early 2000s, they were sort of names on the British circuit, so they were already working. And then after a while, I think we kind of said, "Can we actually learn something?" And yeah, he did. He taught us, and he taught us well. So training was good.
And he's trained some people that have gone on to do well, hasn't he? So
he has.
And who was at the camp when you was there? Was there a few people that came and went early on, or who is there who people would know now?
People would know now. I think I'm the last man standing, but I think one name some listeners may be familiar with is James Ty. He was he'd been there a couple of months before me. But yeah, in terms of still going, I think I'm the only one. I think I'm the only one you know. That was like when he started breaking us down into what he called series. So me, James Ty, and a bunch of other local Portsmouth lads, we were all in Series 1. And then he had Series 2, Series 3, etc. So like Paul Burchell, I think, was in Series 2. And PJ Black might have been like Series 4, Series 5.
That's very clever, though, isn't it? And that's way back then he was doing that.
Yeah. He sold us all
very
t-shirts,
clever.
So yeah, it was very clever.
He's a clever lad. I think he's got a really good brain for it, definitely. Yeah, he is. So you did that, you did your training with him, and then your first few shows. I've actually seen your first match, I believe. Was it a 6-man tag or something?
No, it wasn't, but that was like my sort of third match. But
I've seen that for some reason. I don't know why I've seen it, but I've seen it.
Because it was excellent. That's why.
That'll be why. That'll be why.
Yeah, no, it was terrible. But I will say that I think for a third match, for a match that was ridiculously choreographed, but that was kind of the way Mark liked to teach us. I would say it wasn't too bad. But my first match I had about 6 months after first started training, and I think I only really got that match because he had lack of options. So he, at least as far as I'm not necessarily the first one, but Mark was like the first one to run like an academy and bill it as a wrestling academy. I appreciate Ricky Knight had his and Hamlock had theirs, but he would promote them as trainees.
Yeah.
So once a show, he'd always have a trainee match. And I think I was in the second ever trainee match because he had no one else who was anywhere near capable. So that's how I got started, and that was 16 years ago.
And obviously, like you said, big wrestling fan. You told your mum and dad you was going to be a wrestler. What kind of wrestling was you watching when you was younger? Was it purely American? Any British? Anything?
No matter what I used to tell, the old schoolers who were stood around in 2002, 2003. Of course, it was WWF wrestling. Anyone my age who denies it, I'd say 99% of them are lying. How could it not be? We all. If we didn't have Sky TV, we had videotapes. Or if we didn't have videotapes, we had friends who had Sky TV. So. For those of you who are my age who still try and convince people, oh, no, I didn't watch that WWF rubbish. You hear that. Oh, I still hear that from time to time. All about WWF wrestling, all about the British Bulldog, Bret Hart, SummerSlam, Macho Man, Ultimate Warrior. They were mine as a kid. That was what I grew up on.
Rick Martel, Shawn Michaels.
Oh, what a match. Yeah.
I was there.
Was you there?
Yeah, I was there, yeah. Do you know what? I'll bet there was probably 50% of the people we know were probably there.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's probably like NXT in London last week.
Oh, God, yeah. Don't tell me that.
Which I'm not knocking, by the way. You know,
Well, I don't know. I'm not gonna. Yeah, I think Ricky Knight put a quote on Facebook which just creased me up. He said, "There's no wonder it was busy everywhere. Most of the UK wrestlers were there."
I saw that, yeah.
All trying to get a job.
Yeah.
All trying to get a job. That's what it'll be.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, whose camp was you in, Bret Hart or Davey Boy?
Oh, Davey Boy all the way. Davey Boy all the
Really?
way, yeah. Of course. I'm wearing a Bulldog T-shirt now, actually.
Yeah. You're a big